Such a nice day, and they delayed the opening of the park until May 11th now, so decided to come out in the woods and have a fire, probably cook a steak. Got some chaga and wintergreen tea I want to make, and might see if I can start the fire with the bow drill and see how it goes. Alright, so I'm at a spot that I came to a couple times over the winter, and I built a little fire pit. I'm just going to take a walk around, find some tinder to make a tinder bundle, and hopefully I can get a fire going with the bow drill. Some dry grass just up here on the rocks, and see if I can gather some of that. Nice and dry, been in the sun. I'll gather up a bunch of that and add that to my tinder bundle. Alright, so I found some birch here. I'm just going to take bits off without actually peeling it off the tree. Just the parts that are already flaking and hanging. I don't want to kill it. It looks like it's already on its way out anyway, but we'll let it survive if it can on its own. That's probably all I need. Alright, there's an old dead cedar here as well, and has some bark hanging off. I'm going to take the bark and use it for my tinder bundle as well. Nice and dry. This way I don't have to strip it off the tree and harm the tree. Alright, so I have my cedar bark now. My dry grass. Some birch. So I'll make up my tinder bundle with that. And I'm just going to go find some small twigs and stuff for kindling. So there's a dead tree over here with lots of low branches. I'm just going to take those, lots of pencil lead size, and then all the way up to what I need to get the fire started. Really nice dry ones. As you're snapping them off the tree, you can hear the crack. So I'll gather up a bunch more of those and some larger ones as well. Alright, so I'll just take a minute to go over my bow drill kit. It's kind of what I've come up with after research. The best way I find to do it, anyway. So my spindle, my hearth board, they came out of the same piece. The spindle, well, they're both cedar, and the spindle, I've heard you want to be about the size of your forearm. So mine is worn down a bit, but it should still work fine. I've already burnt this one in. So you want your V to come in almost halfway into the board, and you want it notched wider at the bottom so that you can catch your dust. And then my bow, I prefer a curved bow. Different people use different, but I like it to be about the length of my arm. And with the curve, once you have your spindle twisted in there, I find you can leave it a bit looser and you can actually with your finger, adjust your tension as you're spinning, depending if you want more, or you can let off to get a bit less. And you'll notice here as well, the tip is more pointed, so I use that for the top end where my bearing block is, so that you have less friction. And then on the bottom it's more rounded, so you get a lot more friction down there, so you produce a lot more heat. I just realized I didn't actually bring a bearing block, so I'll have to go find one of those right now before I get started. And then I'll make up my tinder bundle and I'll see if I can get a fire going, because I didn't bring matches or a lighter or anything, and I want to eat that steak. Actually, I'll show you the steak quick. So I have just a sirloin and I'm currently thawing it. It was frozen when I brought it, but I think it'll be ready to go by the time we're ready to cook. Okay, for my tinder bundle now, I'm going to take some of this birch bark and grass. First I'll take the birch bark and I'll rough it up a little bit, get all those fibers and some powder, and I'll place it inside my grass. Just fold that over. I'll rough that up as well. Get all the fibers loose. And you want to make a hole in the middle to catch your ember. I'll also take some of this cedar bark, and I'm going to loosen it up a bit and wrap it around this nest as well. Just kind of hold it all together. And cedar is also a great fire starter. I'm going to save a chunk, and I'm going to put a piece of birch bark on that as well. I'll put it under my hearth board to catch the ember as well. So I found this rock that I'm going to try and use as a bearing block. It's a bit rough in there, so I'm just going to grind it on this other rock to see if I can smooth it out a bit. It's got a nice little indentation, so that should be able to hold my spindle. You can already see it's starting to smooth out. I have my cedar and my birch. I'm going to put it under my hearth board, right where that coal or ember is going to fall through. I have my tinder bundle right here ready to go. Got my spindle wrapped. Just set that into place. I like to put my foot right on the hearth board, and then I can brace my arm up against my leg. Alright, so I just moved myself up to some flatter ground. Not sure yet, but it seems like my bearing block may give me issues as well. I might have to find something else. Yeah, I'm gonna have to take a look and see if I can find something else. Alright, so I made the hole a bit bigger on my bearing block, so I have more room in there. I'm gonna see if that'll work. Alright, so I sharpened the tip of my spindle and I'm going to see if that'll help me any. Still doesn't want to stay on this bearing block. Oh, I'm gonna have to find something else. Alright, so I went and got this pop can. I'm going to use the bottom of the pop can. It's worked for me in the past, so hopefully I can get it now. Wind's picking up, so hopefully my tinder bundle doesn't blow away. Not quite there. I'll try her again. Alright, so I had to change batteries, but now I'm ready to give her another go. Hopefully I can get it going this time because I'm starting to get hungry. Not quite. Here we go, give her another round. So I just trimmed the end off of my my bow because it was hitting the ground. Yes, finally got it. That's the most trouble I've had with the bow drill since I first started trying to do it. I don't know, it took a lot of different techniques and different things, but it worked. Tried and true method. Whew, tired. Need some food. Time for some steak. Alright, so I got a pack of these rice noodles. I try and eat gluten-free as much as I can. I'm not celiac, but it does bother me. So I'm going to take a walk down to a creek just down over the way and get some water, boil that up, make a chaga wintergreen tea and some noodles, and then I'll throw my steak on. Alright, so I'm just going to take a walk over to the creek and get some water. I'll bring you with me. There's some signs of spring, a little flower. There's another one there. Alright, here we are. Creek. The waterfalls. I was grabbing right here out of a flowing cart. Nice clear water. A little grill there that I got with my dehydrator. It's gonna stick on the pot of water and start a boil. There we go. I'll give that a little bit. In the meantime, I'll get some chaga ready and my noodles, and then I'll throw the steak on last. I have some chaga here. For any of you who don't know what chaga is, it's a fungus, I guess, polypore mushroom that grows on birch trees. It's a really good antioxidant, very healthy for you, and it makes a really tasty tea. So I'm going to take some of that, as well as some of these leaves I harvested last year. These are wintergreen leaves. They have the same properties as aspirin, and they also are pretty tasty. So I'll mix those with the chaga and make myself up a nice tea. But first I have to mash up the chaga a bit into a bit of a powder. So I'll use this handkerchief, I'll put some chaga in there, and then I'll smash it up. Alright, so I have a little piece there. Let's put it in here, wrap it. I'll just smash it a bit with this hatchet. Oh, it ripped right through. Just dump that right into my mug. That's what I got there, and I'll just throw in a couple leaves from the wintergreen. I'll just rip each of these in half so that it goes into the tea a bit better. So there we go. Once I have water boiled, I'll have myself a cuppa. Alright, so I'm running low on my battery for my DSLR, but I'll do a bit of recording on my GoPro here. We've achieved boil. I made sure I boiled it for a good while. It's supposed to boil for like 8 minutes, but I kept her going probably 10-15 minutes now. So I'll take that off and I'll pour up my tea and my rice noodles. Right, so I used to buy the Mr. Noodles because I used to like those, and they're pretty quick and handy, cheap. These are quite a bit more expensive. They're like about $1.60 Canadian, but they're Thai Kitchen, Thai Ginger instant rice noodle soup. I'm not sure it's 100% gluten-free, but as I said, I'm not celiac, so if there is, it's just in the seasoning. So I'll try that and some of my chaga. Alright, so inside the pack was that, some seasoning and some oil. It says to add these and then continue cooking for another minute and then let it sit for 1 minute, but I'm just going to put it all in the bowl and let it sit for like 5 minutes, and I'm sure that'll do the trick. I'm supposed to add 1 cup of water, but I'll just eyeball it. Pour my chaga. My noodles. I still have a bit of water left. Maybe I'll have another tea after. Cover that up and just let it all sit. Come back to it in about 5 minutes. Alright, so I got my tea and noodles going. So now I am ready to start with the steak. And I brought my little spice kit. And in there I've got all my different spices. Probably just use a Montreal steak spice. Well, actually I have this smoldering smoked applewood. I'll probably use a bit of that as well. Goes the steak. I'm going to keep it on this side here because I don't want it to be directly in the flame. I want to slow cook it. A little Montreal steak spice. And the smoldering smoked applewood. I'll have a nice smoky taste anyway, but should be good. Alright, so I'm officially out of battery on the DSLR. I have a Nikon D5500. So from here on out I'll be filming on this, which is my GoPro Hero 3 Plus Black Edition. The sound quality is not quite as good, but I guess I just gotta use what I got. Steak looks like it's coming along well. I'm just gonna head over and get into the noodles and tea. Silly me, once again I forgot a spoon. Should be alright because the steak I can probably just eat with a knife. Tea I can drink, but the noodles and soup may be a bit of an issue. I might try and use the tongs, but we'll see. So there is my tea. And you see the chaga gives it a nice brown tea color. It's actually comparable to like a weak coffee. Let's see what the noodles look like. That doesn't look too bad. That actually looks pretty good. I can probably eat that with a couple sticks or something. Alright, so I am going to drink this and eat this. Alright, so just get rid of all the chunks out of the tea. I'm just going to filter it through my handkerchief here. And with the chaga, you can actually reuse these chunks. You can get another brew or two out of them. And if you dry them out afterwards as well, they actually work as a good tinder. They'll hold a spark for a very long time. Oh, leaf litter! Leaf litter! So there we go. Nice cup of tea, and there's the leftovers. Alright, so I came back to my steak and she's looking ready to get flipped. It's hard to do two things at once. You can see how people end up overcooking their steaks. There we go, first flip. I'm actually going to flip that so that the fat is on the hot side. I like my fat nice and crispy. Alright, big disadvantage with the GoPro is I can't see whether or not if I'm in frame. So there's no viewfinder on the Hero 3. But I just went and took some of those sticks off the cedar that I was using for my kindling. Shaved the bark off it. Hopefully that's enough that I can eat my soup. I have no idea how to do chopsticks. Pardon the slurping, but yeah, that's pretty good. It's a lot, pretty well the same thing as Mr. Noodles, if you ask me. Maybe a little better. Try some of this tea. Very good. Love the mint flavor in it. It really gives it a nice touch. Alright, well I'm going to keep eating this and drink this and make sure my steak doesn't burn. I'll bring you back when I get the steak ready. Alright, so I like my steak medium rare, and I think it might be just about done. I probably overcooked it, but we'll see. Actually looks like I did not too bad. We'll cut into her and see. Just gonna add a little salt out of my seasoning kit. Bought all these little bottles from Mac, Mountain Equipment Co-op. Find them pretty handy. And I love salt. Just try and put a little on. Or a lot. Alright. I'm using my hearth board for a plate because I didn't bring one of those either. Let's see how she is. Try. My knife's not the best, so we'll see. Just a chunk of fat there. Let's see how I did. Oh, still bleeding. That is just about perfect for me. Perfect. Nothing beats something cooked over the campfire. It's got all the nice smoky flavor in it. Awesome. Well, I'm gonna finish eating this. I'll clean up, put out the fire, and I'll probably talk to you before I leave again. Speaking of steak, I just thought of something. I was at a restaurant last night and I ordered their most expensive cut of meat. I ordered medium rare, and it came to me like gray looking, not a bit of juice in it whatsoever. Probably the worst steak I've had in my life. That to me is even more well done than medium rare. And it's just dripping with juice. So for a restaurant to charge you top dollar for a steak, you expect to get something good. Last night I was extremely disappointed. Probably won't even go back to that restaurant. I won't name the restaurant, but nothing beats one cooked over the fire. Amazing. Still just sitting here thinking and having my tea. Still finishing up my steak. And I thought it's in my plans. I'd like to build a bushcraft type shelter out here. Just wondering if I was to videotape that and build one, if you would be interested in watching. I'm not the most skilled person. I'm just learning myself. I watch a lot of YouTube videos to learn. That's how I learned to do the bow drill. Watched a few videos, and first time out after doing that, I got it. But yeah, I'd like to try and build a bushcraft shelter out here, just on my mother and father-in-law's property. I'm not too far out in the bush. I'm pretty close to the highway actually, and you might hear noises from the highway or the neighbors, but pretty nice back here. We used to have a paintball course back here, so there's a bit of debris and stuff around, but I was thinking I could possibly incorporate that, or I could try and go all natural as well. If that's something you'd be interested in, just let me know. I just love being out here. Give me something to do. If you're interested, I'd be happy to share it with you. So just let me know down in the comments what you think. Alright, I'm going to see if I have another battery for my DSLR, but I was having an issue earlier. I bought these aftermarket batteries with the chargers for them, and I don't know if you'll be able to see, the battery on your left is actually swollen. So I put it into the camera, and then once in there it was almost impossible to get out. I managed to get it out, but just something to keep in mind, these aftermarket batteries, they don't hold charge very long. And I had one with my GoPro as well, and they swell right up. I don't believe I got any water on this or anything. So yeah, just something to keep in mind. I'll see if I got another battery though, so I can keep going with the DSLR. I've never actually done this type of video before. I hope it's been somewhat enjoyable. I'm not too experienced with the camera angles and whatnot, but it's been a long winter, long spring. I wanted to get out here and do stuff, and Algonquin's still not open for another week at least. Still ice covering most of the lakes there, so it's nice to get out here, have a steak, have some tea, just be out here. This year I have a few trips planned. So far 3. One the end of May, just to the Kitty Lake cabin. My cousin's getting married, so we're all gonna go there and celebrate a bit. And then mid-June I'll be going and doing a run down the lower half of the Petawawa River from Lake Travers down to McManus over 4 days, 3 nights. We'll be staying at the Crooked Chute Ranger cabin once again, the Natch, as well as down at Whitson. And then the last week in July I have a 10-day trip planned, a big loop that includes 3 different cabins. I won't give you the complete route right now, maybe I'll save that for a future video, but that should be a very hard one, as I've never tested myself on that type of portaging trip before. We're always down the river, so we get to skip a lot of the portages, but we're prepared to pack very light and see what we're made of. We have a couple bailout plans where we can cut the trip short if we need to, but as of right now we're at about 156 kilometers for our total trip. So weather and stuff could be a factor, but I'm hoping we can complete it, because it'll be a nice accomplishment for us to do that big trip. Alright, so that's all I got for today. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, give me suggestions what you'd like to see in the future. I have camping trips planned for this year, as I was saying, and I'd like to get out here a lot more than I have in the past, and if you enjoyed this, I'll start recording it a bit more. Whoa, almost went down there. So yeah, just let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Later.